All right, we're ready.
Okay, great. Hi, Josie and Roseanne.
Hi.
Michelle Shingler and I are here on behalf of Forward Reviews to chitty chat a little bit with you guys about the value of book reviews. And we wanted to first thank you so much for this opportunity to meet your clients and customers and give them some insider information about trade reviews. I think it'll be really educational. And at the end, we have listed our email addresses in case there's some things we forgot. So just putting that out there before the presentation starts. Um,
Wonderful.
let's see. Here's just a little bit of information about Michelle and I. She comes to us from a librarian perspective. We hired her away from Atlanta, Georgia, and she moved to Northern Michigan. Hopefully, no regrets because we're so lucky to have her, as evidenced by this massive background in education. I am here as a founder and publisher of the magazine. I'm been around publishing for probably 30 years, 26 years as with Foreword. So it's been a minute, and I think that's, I'm trying to back away a little bit, but it's so exciting. I love this job, and we're both very passionate about books and publishing, as you'll see. I wanted to let you know some of the topics that we would cover today. First, we're going to talk about the difference between trade and consumer market reviews. We're going to give examples of trade journals. And then Michelle's going to jump in and talk to you guys about timelines and editorial calendars and why these are so important over and over and over again.
Yeah.
We're also going to talk about some submission guidelines, what makes a good sell sheet or tip sheet with some samples of those, a little bit about the importance of quality standards and to be thoughtful and intentional about the whole process of publishing. And then we'll give you some suggestions for using your reviews as well. So first of all, I wanted to let you know that the trade journals are the review journals that are for the publishing business, like Booklist, Foreword, Kirkus, Library Journal, Publishers Weekly, School Library Journal are all advanced review publications that have readerships for booksellers and librarians and rights agents who want to know about books before they're published. Consumer magazines and journals like the New York Times Book Review, like the Atlantic, like the LA Times and the London Book Review are consumer publications where the general reader is finding out a book after the publication date. And the reason why advanced review trade journals are so important is because librarians especially, but booksellers too, want to know in advance of the publication. So by the time authors and publishers get started on their marketing program, they don't have patrons running into their store asking it about a book that the bookseller and librarian hadn't heard about yet. So once you get a review in one of these trade journals, that it will get them set up to have your book on their shelves.
Yeah, and can I just clarify really quickly, because I'm sure a lot of indie authors are going to be listening to this. They might be brand new to DropCap Marketplace and maybe
Sure.
brand new to these types of reviews. These are different than the endorsements or any of the reviews that you would collect for your website or for your Amazon page. You can obviously put your editorial reviews on your Amazon page, and obviously that's an important thing to do with them once you receive them. But when we're talking about reviews in this sense, we're talking about the editorial type and not the consumer type, from people who have read your book on Amazon.
Right. And we're going to talk in a lot of detail about where trade reviews go. And that's
Mhm.
why they're so important. So I'm going to turn this over to Michelle now and let her rip and chime in when necessary.
So what we're doing when we work on the magazine reviews and when we work on reviews in general is thinking about a way to talk about the book in a way that introduces it best to the prospective reader. That's what librarians are always thinking about. That's what booksellers are thinking about. Who's going to want to read this book and why? So all of our reviewers come to us with specialties in their genres. They're thinking about those genres specifically. They're excited about those. They have expertise in those. When we're doing the selection process, we're looking at books about 4.5 months in advance. So working far, far in advance. And we're thinking about genre by genre, what are librarians going to want to add to their shelves? What is exciting about this book? Why should you add it? The reviews themselves, I like to think of them as sort of a one-act play on the book. So reviewers go in, they introduce the book, they talk about what it's about, but then they do the critique part. Here's how the storytelling is done. Here's why the characterizations are great. Here's what stands out about the language. It's a complete conversation about the book, how it's written, and how well it's written. And it's done in the space of about 300 words, which is hard, but really fun work. We also talk about where books fall in an author's canon. Hey, this is exciting because it's debut. This is exciting because it's an own voices title. Everything is a little holistic. And we do think about trends. Romantasy. This is a conversation I just had with our salesperson. What new romantasy titles are coming out? We know those are doing really well in the market. Well, we have one in the May issue that I'm very excited about. It's always a little bit of everything with a lot of excitement behind it. So I think, Victoria, you're going to talk about the databases a little bit later, right?
Right. Yep. We might as well do that later.
Okay. So one of the things that's important about it is that you're hearing from a trusted source. So all of our reviewers get bylines. That's not true across all trade journals. It is for us, but it's also coming from Foreword. It's vetted by us. We've looked at the book. We've noted something exciting about it. We've given it to a reader who's primed to speak on that subject or that genre, and they've highlighted in more detail what's exciting about the title. We always think about quotability. So we ask our reviewers to think about what can be pulled from the review as like a tagline. In Clarion, we highlight that ourselves. We have like a pull quote for every review. So there's an opportunity to use it on the jacket. We love to see the reviews show up on jackets. That's exciting for reviewers. That's exciting for us. It's part of an ongoing conversation. So that's after the fact, after we've already introduced it to librarians. And it goes into the database, which Victoria is going to talk about in detail later, but that's invaluable. Librarians need reviews from at least 3 trusted resources if they don't know about the book before they can consider buying it. Budgets are limited. They need someone to have vetted it for them. They trust these review journals to do that.
And that's the same when it comes to foreign rights as well. So when we are able to use these types of reviews for our agenting services, right? Like when we are having conversations with rights buyers, we have a very short amount of time to capture their interest about a book. And an editorial review like this can really do that, do a lot of work for us on that behalf.
So all of the review journals have a little bit different length. I can speak to Foreword's extensively because I work with it every day. Some of them are short, some of them are more blurb length. Ours are 300 words. It starts out with that summary of what the book's about. We try to do that in a dynamic way. We try to do it in sort of a language that the reader's going to want to understand. But our readers are excited about the book, so they have an easy time doing that. And then it's a discussion of all those pieces of the book that make it special. Language is one of them, characterization, all those little pieces that are, this is why the book is special. And then the reviewer's opinion. The magazine reviews are vetted, so they come with a general recommendation, but they also, if there's something that struck the reviewer as different or strange, or they mention negatives, but it's a holistic thing. Entertainment's part of it. I like to think that our reviews are fun to read. If there's not something there that someone who hasn't read the book isn't going to engage with, we usually send the review back and ask the reviewer questions. Hey, we were a little confused here, because a reader should come away from the review understanding why they should read the book.
I didn't realize you did that. That's an awesome service, that just to make sure that the review itself is so substantial to last the test of time of the book. That's great.
So when to send, I already mentioned the 4.5 months. This is the most important thing. We're going to highlight it with the tip sheets as well. Timing is crucial. This is the number one reason why I have to let go of a book that piques our interest that we would love to review. It's timing. For example, right now it is February 22nd. I can't consider any books for magazine coverage that are coming out before late June. We're working about 4.5 months in advance. The next issue that we'll be selecting for is July, August, and the deadline for that is 3/10. So you have to think way, way far in advance. A lot of people want to rush to press. The book's done. They love it. It's going to be bad for you on the trade side just because we're working so far in advance. And there are lots of reasons for that. Librarians want to see it early. They want to know about books before they come out, as Victoria mentioned. But also our reviewers need time to sit with the book, invest in it, get involved in its world, and then be able to talk about it thoroughly. They have a month with every title. So we have to give them that time, and then we have to have the time to edit the review to make sure that it's clear, that we know what everything's about and that it's going to speak to our audience. So there's a lot of just time built in there. So 4.5 months, think about that as a minimum. And then when you send your book, we're asking more and more, and I think this is true of the other trade review journals too, in a post-COVID age, PDF. We like a hard copy. The shelves behind Victoria attest to that. However, we don't really need it. It's a bonus at this point. So send the PDF. We're happy to work with that. It opens up the reviewing pool. It means we can offer it to our international reviewers too. It makes it faster. The reviewer gets it day of. They can start right away. They can get it back to us right away. You don't have to think about mail costs. It's better all around. So send the PDF, send it with a tip sheet. Make sure that your tip sheet is clear and has all of the information that we need right up front. Pub date, first and foremost. ISBN, distribution plan. If it's a nonfiction title, an author bio pointing to any expertise is very helpful. If it's a fiction title, a bio just talking a little bit about who the author is. We see things like they live in the forest with cats that speak to what the book's about, that is honestly interesting to us and lets us know that the author is engaged. So whatever you can pull out that just increases investment a little is great. A summary of what the book's about, any accolades, all of that. 1 page. Get it down to 1 page, make sure it's all easy to find. Follow-up is different for every company. We're a small company, so follow-up is usually going to come in the form if you were one of the approximately 10% that we're able to cover. We reach out to you, say, hey, we're covering your book, please send the cover art if we don't already have it. We're not able to follow up with every individual submission because we get about 1,200 per issue, and I'm one person. And there's just not a way to do it. I know one of the other journals has a database where they scan the book in, and then you can follow it through the process. That's also useful. But a person-to-person response is a little harder to do.
But this is just true then for if you wanted coverage in the magazine. Getting the review itself is not something that people need to worry about, that it's like a very small portion of people that are selected. Is that true?
Yes, it's about, for the magazine, it's about 10%.
Got it.
10% of our submissions.
Submissions, yeah. Clarion, you're getting a review back and you get an email to notify you that it's done.
Sure.
Having a PR agency is beneficial in that PR agencies know how to work with people. They know all the submissions guidelines. They usually have personal contacts with people at the trade review journals. They have an idea of calendars. If you can do all of that on your own, that's great, but it's a lot of work. So PR agency helps in that respect because experts always help, and you want to lean on your community and you want to lean on people who know how to do it. Making it easier is never a bad thing.
Yes.
We also know when we're dealing with a press PR agency that we're going to be able to contact them, reach them if we need them, and they're going to deliver everything we need in a professional manner. So yeah, that's nice too.
Yeah. So what do we look for when I get a book in my hand? I read the tip sheet first. I familiarize myself with the genre, with what the story is about a little, and then we go into the book. We read a little bit of it. We see if we get engaged. We flip to the middle. We see if we get engaged there. We see if there's story continuity. We're looking for a whole package. We're looking for something that piques our excitement, that holds our attention. We're looking for a hook, genre by genre, title by title. And then once it's vetted, then we pass it on to our reviewers, who are also as much as possible selected so that they're the ideal reader for the book. I have a minister who does a lot of our religion titles. I have a person who just loves medical memoirs for some reason, so she gets our medical memoirs because she can speak to that. She's read all of them. She knows she thinks. She knows how to differentiate it. That's great. Author expertise, I mentioned if it's nonfiction in the bio, you want to highlight that. I am not a science person. I'm a theology person. I'm an English person. So if I'm looking at a science book and I don't know, I would like to know that the author has a PhD in the subject or something of that nature. So that's always good to highlight. Unique is good. If we can look at a book and think, well, this is the 12th School of Magic book I've seen this year, but here's something that it's doing that's different. Here's a character who's a little bit different, a hero who's someone we don't recognize. That's fantastic. Highlight that in the tip sheet. It's in the book. That's something we like. And we do like weird books. We like to see something that's like it's just a little bit different, a little bit surprising. It's not necessarily going to be something that the author, that the librarians hear about otherwise. We look for something that can be a standout.
Mm-hmm. Well, we fancy ourselves the punk rock of indie trade reviews. So
Oh, I love that. That might be the title of this whole presentation.
So one more time about why pre-pub is so important.
We got to get it to the librarians early, and we want to make sure that we're getting them a review that perfectly reflects the book. So timing on our side is important. Timing on the reviewer's side is crucial. This is how you know that your books are being handled with love and care and with the attention they deserve, and that they're still getting to the librarian while the librarian's doing the purchasing for your book's publication date range. So get it to us early, make sure that we can treat it well, and then we can get it in front of librarians. The two tip sheets that, do you want to talk about it, Victoria?
There's going to be 3. No, I do not. I just want to let you know that here's some sample tip sheets for review.
That's great.
Obviously.
And these are, I believe, all of books that we are covering. This one, they got the review back today. The reviewer loved it. They got the review to me early. I was able to get it to the publicist early. Cover art, as much as we like to pretend that cover art doesn't matter, it matters. It's the first thing that someone sees about a book, and it's got to draw their eye, and it's got to make them think, hey, I want to pick this up. So we consider cover art. If you can send it when you send your submission, please do. If it's a publisher that we already know and we're pretty familiar with their cover art in general, we can trust, but it's always good to have that just so people have a full picture of what the book is. Title up front, author information up front. Publication date is right up at the top. We really need that. We need the ISBN in a place we can find it. We need contact information in a place we can find it. As Victoria mentioned, we need to ask for things. We need to ask for little bits here and there in the process, cover art, maybe images from the book. So you need to make it easy to contact you to let you know that we're covering it. And a good, concise description of the book to get us excited.
Sorry.
No worries. This is good. This is a YA title that is in our May-June issue.
Oh, that cover is spectacular. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's eye-catching. That's the first thing you're drawn to when you think, well, now I want to know more. It's also very notably YA. You can tell it's YA when you look at it, which is helpful. We know that we have a YA section every issue, so that's something that we're going to extra flag. That little box in the middle with the publication date, age range, all of that information makes it very easy for us to find, very appreciated. Clear about the author and a little bit about the book. Just concise, tight, one page. Don't give us too much. Give us enough to be introduced to your book well.
Oh, I guess she only put 2 in. That's great.
Both next
Those
issue
were good.
titles.
Those were really good.
Okay. Now I just wanted to put a little plug in about fee for review services. We started the fee for review service situation in 2001. So over 20 years. And at the time, people were horrified, mortified, and we were basically blackballed in the industry for considering such an option. People were afraid that we were going to lie. We weren't going to be truthful. I don't know why they thought that we would ever jeopardize the reputation of the magazine, but we were getting so many books in for review without without room, that were limited by print. And we just, had this crazy idea. What if people paid us? Why don't we have reviewers and we have talent. So if they're willing to pay us, we'll give them a review. Our service is a 5-star service, so we don't guarantee, unlike the magazine where we're only recommending books in the magazine, we only highlight books that are good. We do not give a good review to every book that comes through our fee for review service. And there's a 5-star rating. 3 is considered pretty good. And 4 and 5, of course, we don't give many 5 stars, but I even encourage people who get 1 or 2-star reviews to keep their review public or not kill it, as we call it, because, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, part of the fee for review service is we license those reviews to the places where bookstores and libraries order books, which is Ingram's iPage, Baker and Taylor's, Title Source 3. I don't even think it's called Title Source 3 anymore. Bowker's Books and Print, Cengage, EBSCO. You can't get a library to buy a book outside of those services. And I'm going to show you a screenshot of what your review looks like in those services. All of the books that are reviewed, all of the reviews of a book appear underneath the book. So Forewords, Publishers Weekly, book list reviews will all appear underneath, and that will help the librarian, in their decision making. One of the things that we haven't mentioned that's really important about librarians and reviews is the book banning. This is another reason why they require up to 3 reviews per book that they purchase. It's obviously no longer the ugly stepchildren of the industry, because now all the trade journals offer some form of fee for review service. So again, these reviews are written by the same reviewers who write for our publications. And because it's not in a print journal, there's an opportunity for us to write a longer review if we can. And besides the syndication to the wholesalers, and maybe good for a lot of your author publishers who are listening, you're going to get some suggestions for how to improve your book ahead of publication date. So you don't print this book and find out there's a bunch of typos, that you made a mistake on the copyright page, or that, the plot, why not find out that stuff early? I mean, my idea when this service was started was everybody sitting around the table on a Monday morning at a publishing house saying, well, these books got picked up for review and these didn't. So let's get a review, because that's how important reviews are. We're getting there. Here is a copy of a magazine review that's in Baker and Taylor's system. I mean, a lot of these systems do lists like popular LGBTQ, Black History Month, Women History Month. They'll do readers lists, and here's what happened in the with the berry pickers in Baker and Taylor. There's this is what this review, the whole review will show up in their database. And that service is, again, getting into those systems is worth the price in and of itself. And that happens with our reviews in the library, in the actual magazine, excuse me, and these fee for review services. So I'm just going to start to finish with some general advice for your clients. We really think that investing in cover art and interior design and professional packaging and getting editorial assistance like copywriting and developmental editing is critical. There's so many books being published now. If you have to do it well in order to be taken seriously. Even if you're an author publisher, there aren't any fences anymore, but the barrier to getting sales and getting reviews is doing a good job. You can do as much, there's millions of books being published every year, but there's not very many good books being published every year, and it's the whole package. So we encourage you to do the most professional job that you can. Obviously, if they're working with you, they are. We encourage people to do their homework, learn about the trade journals before you send them. I mean, we have books coming in to editors that worked here 3 editors ago. one of them who isn't living any longer. And it's so easy to find information on the internet. And plus, you should be looking to see what the submission guidelines are online for every journal before you send it. The tip sheets are worth their weight in gold. As you can see, that is really important to spend some time on. And as Michelle's mentioned a couple of times, we don't think you should rush. You know, you spent years maybe even putting this book together. Why would you rush it to print and miss all these opportunities for potential sales and right sales by hurrying the process up to get it printed and on bookshelves? This is a really important part of the process. Getting these trade reviews, getting the packaging done properly, doing all your metadata with, uploads, and it's just critical really to a successful publishing venture. And we encourage you to slow down and not rush things.
I agree.
And this also comes into BISACH codes. I mean, they're working really hard to do, get as many DEI codes in the system now. And you should make sure that you have the best BISACH codes on the back of your books, because it matters where a librarian is going to put you. If they have enough martial arts books, great. But if they have enough, martial arts books I'm just using this as an example. I'm not picking anybody out, but for LGBTQ people, make sure that you have the LGBTQ martial arts BISACH code on your book and not just a general one, or you'll miss out on some sales opportunities. I think we covered timing. Timing is the most important thing. Our fee for review service is called Clarion. They're a good investment. And I forgot to mention that your book may not get picked for any one of these trade journals, but it's not because it's a bad book. It's simply because we're limited by a print edition. And so don't take it personally. Don't say, well, why would I pay if you didn't pick it? We just didn't have the room. You should pay because you'll get into these systems. You'll get a professional review, and we are not messing around with our reputations by, giving bad books, good 5 stars or anything. Quality is key. And then writing a book and marketing a book are 2 different jobs. And we encourage people to be prepared for that. If you don't want to market your book, hire a publicity firm, hire a marketing firm, and then go back and write another book.
Yes, we say that all the time.
So that's all we have. We wondered if you guys had some questions for us.
Oh my gosh. I feel like you covered a lot of the questions that I had anticipated having, because of course you were very thoughtful in all of this presentation. I would love to hear, so, obviously you can't choose every book to highlight in your magazine, but everybody who purchases a Clarion review has this really cool piece of marketing collateral, so to speak, assuming that it's a good review or something that they want to showcase to the world. So how do you see indie authors using these reviews to market themselves, market their books, get their face out there?
Victoria, do you want me to?
I do want you to do it, but I'll add something at the end if you didn't cover it.
Okay. You go in the database automatically, which is invaluable because then you're in front of librarians and booksellers. But it's the quotability, I think. It's you've got an engaged reader who's talked about your book in a thorough way. Also, one thing I would like to, Victoria mentioned this, Clarion are longer. They're 450 words minimum to the 300 words we're limited to in the magazine. So whereas in the magazine, reviewers are working with a presumed recommendation and they tell us if they can't recommend it, and then we have to go through a whole kill process. With Clarion, they have room to stretch. Mm-hmm. So the thing that they couldn't mention in 300 words, now they have time to devote a paragraph to it, which is really great because you're seeing just a longer engagement with your book. You're seeing the reviewer talk about things they can only cover maybe one topic in the magazine that's like the really standout topic to them. With Clarion, they have to cover characterization, themes, how the story is told, how it moves from scene to scene. They have to cover everything. So you've got this really great full picture of the book that you can then go to and pull specific lines and use them in your marketing, and use them to get conversations started about the book. There's a lot more to work with, and I think that that's fantastic. people get hung up on the star rating, but the star rating is just a 3-star means that we liked your book and we saw a few things that were a detractor. A 5-star is rare, rare, rare. So you can really work with that. 4 stars are very good. But there's always something to work with. Even with a 2-star review, we look for the reviewers thinking about not even necessarily the reviewer. Sometimes us, we're doing pull quotes, so there's still something you can use for marketing. This is the standout thing about the book. This is why you should engage the book, even though this one reader may not have loved it. It's part of the whole conversation, and I think that that's one of its benefits.
Mhm. Victoria, did you want to add anything?
I didn't, she covered it. I
Oh,
mean, it's
she
the
did.
quote-
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we call them money quotes,
Yeah.
you know, because that's where the money is. These quote, we actually highlight the money quotes in green in the publication, in the print version. And that's what a lot of publishers will pick up and put on the cover of their book too. But there's usually a quote that's you can pull from the Clarion. There is always something you can pull from the reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people kill them and still quote from them, which is allowed. Once you have the review, it's yours. So people sometimes really get caught up on the 3 stars and think it's bad when it's not bad. It's really not. It's a good thing. But they'll kill the review and still use the quote because the quote is marketable.
Sure. Yeah. And we kind of designed our marketplace to where people don't necessarily have to put in a number of stars if they're indicating an endorsement to a rights buyer. All they have to do is, use that pull quote, say it's from Clarion, which of course our rights buyers is going to know is a valuable resource and a reputable resource. And that's good enough for our purposes. So that's interesting.
And
Yeah.
saying Foreword Clarion also gives it some more credibility because it's attached to it. So
Definitely. Yeah, it was interesting when you guys were talking about the timing. We talk about this all the time at DropCap. So because we are not publishing books, we actually can't take books into our marketplace until they have that ISBN and they have that placement already done. There's a lot of like hurry up and wait in this business. And so, we have authors who list their books with us and then, they're very excited. They've done all of this amazing work. And then, 2 weeks goes by and they're thinking, well, how come I haven't gotten any bites yet? And we have to tell them it's really not uncommon for this process to take a year, sometimes longer, to go from interest to a rights deal, just because there's so many moving parts in the process. And so for us, having authors who maybe their book has been out for a couple months and they missed this part, they can still take advantage of the review and use that time wisely while they're waiting for international interest. So
I'm also going to do a shameless plug here because you brought it up about advertising. First of all, we're at all the trade shows and all the trade journals are at all the trade shows and the international book fairs. So we're handing out copies of Foreword, Publishers Weekly book. They're all there giving out copies of their magazine. And I can't tell you how many times, besides the reviews inside the magazine, people, rights agents, international agents will come over and say, where is this author from an ad or a review, or is this publisher here? Can you tell me? I just read this review and I want this book, so there's things to be said about using our publications as marketing vehicles too.
I love that. That's great. Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm looking at my questions and I feel like you covered them all. Josie, am I missing anything? Do you have any questions about how this whole process works?
No, this was fantastic. You guys have obviously done this before.
Well, it's exciting too. It's a lot of authors come to us at DropCap Marketplace and like, what can I do to get my book noticed? And it's like, if there were a silver bullet that we could give every author to guarantee a rights deal, we would happily give it. But really, like it's pieces like this that people really underestimate the power of. It's more than just getting an email that says, oh, cool, somebody liked my book, but you can leverage that review for the lifetime of your marketing efforts too. Your book could be out for a year or 2 years, and you can do a social media post reminding people about this awesome review you got. It's just the possibilities are kind of endless there too.
Plus, if if you missed the deadlines this time and you made a mistake, that's what else is Clarion these FIFA reviews are good for, but also because now I'm seeing more and more in books, reviews of the author's past books, like blurbs in the advanced praise for their other book or praise for their other book. So those quotes can move on into your future books as well.
Absolutely. That's
It's an
so
investment.
true.
I mean, it's such a big investment. I know
Yeah.
it sounds like a lot of time and work. It's really not once you get the system in place, make your list of trade journals, do your research online, who's the review submission guidelines. For us, it's just Michelle. For Publishers Weekly or Library Journal, they have fiction editors, nonfiction editors. You have to look at who the editors are. Don't send your memoir to a children's book editor. Not going to probably get any attention. That's just the kind of, simple things you can do, but worth the investment to get that database. I'm a spreadsheet fan, so I think they can save the world.
Well, we are too. I mean, that's our tech was kind of built around this idea that like, don't just throw your book in front of everybody, throw it in front of the rights buyers who have already told us that's the genre that they're looking for. Like make it so the competition is out of the way and your book is front and center to the right people. And that's, I really appreciated everything you were talking about with the BISAC codes as well, because it's so critical and they're constantly changing. Everybody's always asking for just the grand database. And it's like, oh gosh, unfortunately, that's not the way that it works. So,
yeah.
But it's a good thing too, because as authors and creatives, we have to remain flexible, right? That's the name of the game. All right. Well, thank you so much for all of this time. We are so grateful to you. And we are really excited to integrate all of your special offerings with DropCap Marketplace and all of our indie authors that are coming through our system. And you guys are the best. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.